Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dallas Hoops Fancast, a podcast for Mavs fans. I'm your host, Sydney, and I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Martin Myers.
Hey, guys. I don't know why you decided to say my last name.
That threw you off? Okay, I'm sorry. The Mavericks won tonight against the Lakers. It was, I'd say this is probably, so far, maybe one of the biggest wins of the season. I think we said that after the Rockets game the other night, but this one I think
this one goes into the best because the Lakers had the best record in the NBA. They had won 10 in a row.
So here's a stat from Tim Cato that I think is noteworthy. So the Mavericks are undefeated and win by an average of 26 points when Dirk attends a game.
Okay.
But seriously, there are a lot of noteworthy things about this game. So after this, 538 Sports has the Mavs at a 96% chance to make the playoffs and a 6% chance to make the finals, which I think is interesting. But yeah. They're also currently projected to win 52 games. Now, the Lakers were on a 10-game winning streak coming into this game, and obviously the Mavericks beat them. So the last time they broke a 10-game winning streak was in the 2010-2011 season when they basically
broke everybody's
streak. Yeah. And it's kind of interesting. There's a lot of things that are happening this season that haven't happened since that season. I think another one was the start they got off to on their road winning streak.
Yeah, they're 7-2 now on the road.
So, I mean, obviously I don't think they're going to make the finals, but it says what kind of team it is. And I don't want to get too high on things. I think they do, I've talked about consistency with the role players, different weaknesses they have. I don't think they're a championship team, but it kind of shows you the quality of the team that they are this year.
Yeah, it's nice to see that they are potentially a good team. I mean, they are a good team. I mean, so far this season, we're 20 games in now, and they are 13-6.
Yeah.
So 19 games into the season. And that's usually a measuring stick is 20 games. And you're 13-6. So you got to be really happy with that. I know they've had some terrible losses, but they've also had some really nice wins. The win in Denver, the win in Houston, in Phoenix the other night. Phoenix is tough to beat at home. This year they're not as good, but it's still hard to win.
Yeah.
And against LA on the road in Los Angeles, which is for the Mavericks is almost impossible for them to pull out a win. So they've had some really nice wins this season. And if we just erase those two Knicks losses, this team's record looks way different.
Yeah. So here's kind of where I would put what I think of the Mavericks so far this year, because they do have the big wins against the Nuggets and the Rockets, and obviously this one against the Lakers. But then they also some of the losses they have are again against the Lakers,
which was a win. Let's
true.
be honest.
Okay.
They won both times against the Lakers. I don't care what the record says.
And then against the Celtics, and then against the Clippers. Mm-hmm. So they've had some big wins against really good teams, and then they have some losses. So I think that they are a top 5 team in the West. But that's one reason why I don't think they're not going to contend this year, because they are very good, but in some ways they're still kind of young, and they show these inconsistencies with role players who have, clearly never really been in this situation before.
Yeah, and every year I know everybody says there's 10 possible contenders, but there's really only 1 or 2 or 3 teams that really have a chance. And I believe those teams are Milwaukee and the Clippers.
Yeah.
Outside of them, I think everybody else is kind of in the same category. I know we lost to the Celtics in Boston. It's hard to win there. Wait till we play them again in our home court. So I think those 2 teams are the definite front-runner contention title teams. But outside of that, everybody beneath them, I think it's more of kind of an even keel. And the Lakers, one thing that's been brought out after this game is they really lack outside shooting.
Yeah.
And I love how Skin Wade said, against bad teams, your role players tend to make their shots that they normally wouldn't make, which is so true. We've seen that firsthand with the Mavericks.
Yeah, even with the Mavs, yeah.
But when they play good teams, those shots just don't go in as much. And that's the problem that the Lakers have. And it's kind of a problem that the Mavs have. But the Mavs in 2 games against the Lakers really outplayed them by a mile in this one and beat them on the previous game,
Yeah.
even though Dwight cheated and we lost.
Yeah, I think like you said, the Clippers are the only team in the West that really scare me. And then even playing the Lakers tonight and watching the game, even though they have a better record than the Clippers, I think the Clippers are
Oh,
much better.
the
Yeah,
Clippers have another level.
they
Now, we
do.
haven't seen it since they played the Mavs. I think they turned on that gear
Yeah.
when they played Dallas because they were like, this is a legit offensive team. Let's test our defense. And in all honesty,
It was great.
it was amazing. I
Yeah.
mean, it was a chokehold type of defense. But then the very next night, they let Memphis score like 114, and then they lost to the Spurs.
I
So
know.
they're like that team where they're going to turn it on when they have to,
Yeah.
which is the playoffs. And then really outside of that, I don't know. The Lakers don't scare me that much. Outside of LeBron and Anthony Davis, they're really a weak team, even
Yeah.
weaker than the Mavericks supporting cast.
Yeah, they definitely don't have the depth that the Clippers have. And I think that's what makes the Clippers so dangerous. It's like, because the Lakers have a good defense, just like the Clippers. The Lakers have superstars like the Clippers, but the Clippers' depth is just like you never get a break. Whereas with the Lakers, really the Mavs were down. They were losing for a lot of it. But then when the benches came in, the Mavs were just better. They just overpowered them. And of course, Luka took over in the third. So yeah, they lack that depth. Tonight, you saw the shooting.
And
It
Danny
wasn't
Green
there.
didn't make his shots
Yeah,
tonight,
yeah.
and it was good. It's a good win. Now Dallas has won. They beat Phoenix. Really, I loved how in both of these games against Phoenix and in LA, they responded well when Phoenix took the lead in the third quarter. They went up by 10. Carlisle calls a timeout. They regroup and they come out with this mindset of we're just gonna come back and win this game. Likewise, against the Lakers started off the game hot. They started off as if, hey, we're going to end this game early. And Dallas regrouped, and they had that mentality to come back. Now, a lot of people talk about the Mavs because that loss against the Clippers, they say they're a soft team, and the Clippers exposed their softness. Don't get me wrong. The Clippers were physical, and the Mavericks were not as physical. But there's a difference between being physical and being soft. A lot of people forget that being tough is being tough-minded. It's being able to make the shot when it matters
Yeah.
most. Being able to have that tough mindset where you get down in a game and you are able to come back and win against a team who's throwing the kitchen sink at you. That's what it means to be tough, not throwing your elbows and pushing people down
Yeah.
on the floor.
Yeah, I will say, I think that mentality of kind of not fading and not collapsing, I've seen that really starting with the Toronto win, which was just after their second loss to the Knicks. And I know those two losses, they come up all the time because they were just awful. But honestly, I think it was a real turning point for the team because if you look at the record before that, it was like 2 wins, a loss, a win, a loss, 2 wins, a loss, a win, a loss, loss. But after that, they went on to win 5 in a row. They lost to the Clippers, and then they've now won 2 in a row. And so I think they've kind of developed a little bit of a resiliency. You can see whenever they get down, they don't just crumble. And so like as bad as those losses were, you can kind of see a different team and that they have that. And also their role players since then have played better. And that was kind of one of the problems they had that we talked about was that these guys, they would only play well at home or in big games, they would choke, they wouldn't show up, and it was just Luka. But ever since then, Tim Hardaway Jr. has been on this hot streak. Delon Wright has been playing well, but Dorian Finney-Smith is making his threes. And so, like, obviously resilience just as a team, but really their role players have kind of stepped up. And I don't know why. I don't know if they realized how important they are, but they've been a different team. Like, not just in any sort of like, hocus pocus mental kind of thing, but just on the court, the way that they play, they're just playing better.
When I feel like the coaching has tightened up a little bit more of the rotation. Remember early on in the season, people were in and out, in and out. They played 3-minute stretches, come out. Seth Curry wouldn't get a minute. He'd play the first 4 minutes of the game, and we were starting Courtney Lee. And it's like, so a lot of the things the coaching staff has kind of cleaned up. Yeah, exactly. And so the players are able to play with more of a rhythm. And they know that they're going to possibly get minutes. Now, one guy that has been getting more minutes the last couple of games is Justin Jackson.
Yeah.
And he has really performed well.
Yeah, Justin Jackson tonight, he was really good. He finished the game with 15 points. He was 3 for 5 on 3-pointers. He was really like a spark plug off the bench, which was good because Tim Hardaway Jr. had a bad night.
He struggled tonight, yeah.
Yeah, he was 0 for 7 on 3-pointers. But I thought that slack was really picked up by Jackson and then also a little bit by DeLon Wright.
I will say Twitter is brutal. Like literally.
Well, the internet, the world is brutal.
The world is brutal. Yeah. Tim Hardaway doesn't play very well tonight. You're not going to play well every game. Yeah. And everybody's already saying, bench him. Cut him, whatever. And it's like, dude, you're allowed a bad game.
This guy, he's a really sensitive guy, too.
He is.
I feel bad for him.
So...
Yeah, he had a bad game, but I think that's the past 10 games he's averaging over 15 points.
Yeah.
In the past 5 games, he's averaging like 20. So, I mean, I don't think he's going to average 20 for the season, but like right around that 15 to 17 mark, that's what he's been doing. And I think, this was one bad game, but I think he'll be fine after this.
I think what you're seeing now a lot with the Mavericks, why they're winning, is their best player is just better.
Yeah.
Than anybody else.
Than the other team's best player.
The Mavs have the best player on the court
99% of the time.
Even tonight, I know it's LeBron and Anthony Davis, but just the way that he's playing compared to them too, although those guys are good, and LeBron, for some stupid reason, is in the MVP candidates just because it's LeBron James.
On that note, It was funny. So the Lakers fans were chanting MVP for LeBron and Anthony Davis, and I was like, I don't think you know what MVP means.
Of course, the chant wasn't very loud either.
Yeah. But anyway, continue.
And Luka, right now, this season, has been playing better than both of those guys. So Luka was the better player on the court, the best player on the court.
Yeah.
Right now, don't kill me, people. I'm just saying right now.
Don't at me.
Don't at me, yeah. And you saw in the third quarter, he kind of inserted his will into the game and took over. And the Mavs took a 20-point lead, and they never relinquished their lead and won the game. So, Mavs fans, you gotta. I don't know if you realize what you have. Like we have that guy.
Yeah,
we have that guy that is gonna be the best player in the league. That every team wants. That every player wants to play with, and he plays for our team. And not only that, he shows up. This is Los Angeles.
I know. I was thinking, sorry, you can,
Go ahead.
I was thinking that during the game, like, this is a huge stage. And, like, we've talked about throughout the season how some of these guys struggle to show up in those big moments. In the past few years, that's been a problem. And it's a problem for a lot of guys, but I was like, man, can you imagine this guy on this huge stage and he is not scared?
No.
He delivers. Like he gets better in those moments. That is extremely rare. Like you can have a good player or a great player, and we've had some of those, but to have a guy that does better in high pressure situations, that is extremely rare.
Well, and that's the difference between having an all-star and a superstar.
Yeah.
A legit superstar. Another thing I noticed, and they talked about it in the broadcast after the game, is Luka's game kind of changed, especially in that second quarter. At first, I mean, the Lakers were crowding him.
Yeah, he was getting doubled
everywhere
every
he went. There was two guys waiting for him, and a couple of times he forced it, and it was a turnover or it was a contested layup, or a charging call, which was the worst charging call one had ever. I mean, LeBron was, anyways. But in that second quarter, when that bench was in and the ball movement really kind of messed up the Lakers' so-called good defense, which I don't think they really are that good on defense. It's easy when you play 10 straight teams that are below 500.
Suck.
Yeah. So when he came back in, he didn't force it. He did a lot of quick passes. He drove it, but his intention was not to try to finish. It was to pass. To kick it out. And he did a really good job with that. And then in the third quarter, he balanced it out.
Yeah.
He did both being aggressive and getting his teammates involved, and it was good to see. I also don't want to forget Porzingis.
Okay, so somebody sent me a message on Twitter and asked this question. Is Porzingis now their third star?
No.
Okay, but just for right now.
No, because Tim Hardaway has not solidified himself as a star.
Okay.
So
he has Porzingis
is still their second best player. I know he's struggling.
Yeah, and this isn't like to trash him or anything. Like I don't think he's a bum or that he sucks or that.
No, no,
He's
no.
struggling right now, and I think he's losing his confidence with every game. But I think he'll get back there, and at the very least, you have to believe he has the talent to get back there. So I don't mean that Porzingis sucks, but just for right now, he's not really the second guy.
Which I think he may not see it. It's kind of a blessing in disguise that you have Luka. Because if he were back on the Knicks and he's trying to recover from a torn ACL with that team trying to win, it would just be a terrible situation.
Yeah.
So here he is able to learn Carlisle's really restrictive flow offense, which is like an oxymoron. He's trying to learn how to play with Luka. He's trying to learn how to play in the league again after missing so much time. And he doesn't have that pressure that if he doesn't deliver, they're not going to win.
Yeah.
That pressure right now is on Luka, and I think that's kind of the way Luka likes it anyways. So I thought he played well tonight. He had 15 points, only 6 rebounds. The Lakers are pretty big and physical,
Yeah.
and he got pushed around a little bit. You can still see that even next summer, he's got to put on some more weight.
Yeah,
He's
he
got to get a
does.
little bit stronger.
Yeah.
He came into the league really, really scrawny. And so he had a good offseason, but he's got to do maybe one more offseason of just strengthening so that way he's not getting pushed around. His shot looked better tonight. His rim protection is great. I still think he's going to be their second best player. Probably more closer to the end of the season, we'll see more of the Porzingis-Luka all-star tandem.
I have to be patient with it. And that's one thing that it gets frustrating. And I'm not frustrated with Porzingis. I know he's trying, but the situation is frustrating. I wish he could be that guy that we all, this duo that we dreamed about when they got him. And I think it's going to take a lot longer than we hoped.
It's definitely going to be a season. Another thing, I love Porzingis. I love his attitude. It's not hard playing with, it's not hard. It's not easy to be the unicorn, all the attention, all the highlights, playing in New York. You come to Dallas, and it's the Luka show.
No one talks
It's
about
Luka's city. And you have to adjust to that as well, playing with not just on the court with Luka, but the off the court antics that happen. Not that Luka's
not
creating,
antics, but the show.
The show of it.
Yeah.
Luka gets all the attention. And so he's kind of just he's learning how to play a whole new city, a whole new team, a new environment. There's so many things that he's learning to adjust right now. And he's got a great attitude about it. He recognizes that it's going to take time, even though at the start of the season he was getting frustrated.
Yeah.
I love his attitude. I think he's going to be fine.
Yeah. I think it's just going to take a lot longer than I wanted it to. Another thing I want to talk about in this game was the zone defense that they played in the third quarter. I thought, when you think about the turning point, I thought that was really it. They did some other things differently, but honestly, I think the key was the zone defense, because the Lakers, first of all, they didn't know what to do, and second of all, the way to attack the zone is to shoot threes, and if you don't have 3-point shooters, then it's hard to do anything against it.
I thought it was a great coaching decision. I also liked having Maxi guarding LeBron.
Yeah, that's another thing that.
And I know one time LeBron got right around him, but I think Maxi's length and size and quickness, it kind of threw LeBron off for a little bit. Now, at that point, the game was kind of getting out of hand anyways. Mm-hmm. But I love the fact that they went into a zone, and to your point, and you can see the Mavericks have really been working on that, on their zone defense in practice, because it looked like a legit zone defense. Sometimes you see a team will throw out a zone
for like one possession, and they're like, "Crap,
we don't
do
know
that
what
again."
to do." Yes, and they don't execute it well. The zone is hard to play.
Yeah.
But it really helped prevent them from getting in the lane and force them to shoot threes. And like you said, they just don't have the 3-point shooters.
Yeah, there was one possession towards the beginning of them playing the zone where Anthony Davis ended up with a wide open 3, and he shot it and swished it and was kind of, feeling himself running back to the other end. But then every other time down the court, he again had a 3-point shot, but he was really hesitant. He didn't want to take it. And it's like, yeah, so you can take that one time if you're wide open, you have the confidence, but you don't actually want to do that. Like, that's not actually your game. And that's what the zone does. It's like, okay, maybe you guys feel like off of ball movement or whatever, you can hit a three here and there. But if you're forced to do it every possession, you don't really want to do that.
Well, and it's different to do that against the Washington Wizards,
yeah.
who have the worst defense in the league, and you're going to get wide open three after wide open three, than do it to a team that actually is good and has a winning record and is trying to prove themselves, really. And I think the Lakers, I think they're going to struggle a little bit just because their schedule is getting so tough and it's going to be a lot of road games. And that's enough Laker talk.
Well, one more thing. So you brought up Maxi.
Yes.
Now, okay, obviously Dwight Powell started because he's the starter by default because, he's their best player right now. So he should, like, obviously be starting. But one thing I was thinking during the game, I was like, they should try Maxi on LeBron because LeBron isn't 25 years old anymore. So you don't really have to worry about his quickness or his speed. I mean, he's still a freak of nature, but he's not like that. And in terms of size, Maxi actually matches up with him pretty well. And I was surprised to see them try it. And it actually kind of worked.
Other than one time where Maxi just kind of got out of position and LeBron went by him for the dunk. He did a good job. And Maxi is really quick leg or feet.
Yeah.
Like, he's able to get in position. He's stronger than he looks, and he's really long. His arms are really long. I thought that if you play LeBron with someone with size and mobility, they can do a really good job on him because his game is driving it and overpowering you.
Well, sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say and I know it's 20 years ago now, but back in 2007 when the Spurs played LeBron, it was Boris Diaw.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah.
And the strength and size of Diaw really frustrated LeBron.
Well, they did that the next time that the Spurs and the Heat met up in the finals. And it's because LeBron, he is a better shooter now, but he would prefer to drive it. I mean, that's his strength, really. So if you have someone that can play him out on the perimeter, but can kind of stay off and still has the quickness to stay with him, then he might shoot that. And if he gets hot, he can, get on a roll. But really, his game is to drive it. And that's one reason why I like Kleber so much is that he has that versatility. It's like he's a big man, so, he can play center or play down low and defend the rim. But if he gets switched or if you need him to guard LeBron or a guy like LeBron, he can do that. And I thought in this game, you saw that. And it worked really well. Powell did actually have a good game, but
this was Powell's best game.
I still don't think he should be starting, and that's all I want to say about that.
Yeah, and it's going to continue to happen, so we just got to let it go.
Dirk was at the game. How cool was that to see him?
It was awesome. He got a video again.
I know, a video tribute. I was like,
he's been retired.
Yeah. And he got a standing ovation. He said, he's doing great and everything, but he said now that the season started, he misses it more. And
yeah.
And I've heard that before with whenever players retire, the thing that they miss the most is just being in the locker room around the guys because you really form that bond. I mean, with specific guys, but also just the locker room, the team, having that camaraderie. I hear that's what players miss the most.
Well, and it's easier to say now that the Mavs are 13-6. If they were 6-13, he'd probably be like, I'm loving retirement. But since the Mavs are good, and to win is like the best thing to do in the NBA. Like when you're winning, life is great. And if he were playing and they were winning it'd be awesome. But he just can't. He can't defend anymore.
Well, yeah.
Like he just, he can't make a comeback.
What Lucas said about their defense, how it's improved. And he was like, last year we had Dirk, so we're better this year. So like I said in the beginning, 538 has the Mavs projected to win 52 games. And that was close to what I
told
think
you they were going to win 50.
Yeah. I don't know. I recently contributed to an article and my prediction was 48 wins. I actually was going to say 47, but then I was like, I'll throw him a bone and give him another win. Do you think 52 is possible, or are you kind of more
Well, that's what they're on pace for.
Yeah, true.
So, and they've had some legit wins, and another win that we don't talk about much because it was at home was against Toronto. Yeah. And Toronto's having a great year.
Well, that
we
was
beat them at home.
Like I said, the game where I thought that was a turning point.
Yeah. So, and that was right after they lost to the Knicks. Yeah. And since then they've won 7 of 8 or something like that. Yeah. 7 of 8. So, no, I think they're going to win 50. I thought that before the season started. Of course, even I didn't know Luka was going to be this good. I
So-
thought it was going to be more of a combination of Luka and Porzingis.
Yeah, I was going to say, so if you thought they were going to win 50 and you see now how they're doing that, I mean, it sounds like, but did you really think they're going to win 50? Because then you would have to predict that Luka was going to do this.
No, I predicted that
It would be more at Porzingis.
in order for them to be a good team or make the playoffs, that Porzingis and Luka would have to combine for 50 points a game.
True, yeah, I remember that.
Whether that was Luka at 28 and Porzingis at 22 or both at 25, whatever. They're not close. Well, they're at 47 or something right now because Luka's
Something like
averaging
that,
30
yeah.
and Porzingis
It's like
is
at
over
15 or
17. Yeah.
something. Okay.
I think he's right at 17 points a
okay.
game. So they're close to that.
Yeah.
And that's what I think they're going to have to do. And now what helps is Tim Hardaway is playing better.
Yeah, that's another piece of it.
But Luka not just scoring, he's making it look easy out there.
Yeah.
And that's why I think they're going to win 50 games.
Yeah, I am still for some reason I feel uneasy about it, but we're now, like you said, almost 20 games in.
Yeah.
Like, this is who you are.
Yeah.
Not a lot is going to change unless you have major injuries or things like that, but this is who they are.
Yeah. And if you look at their next 4 games, it's not, I know their December schedule is one of the worst, or I think it is the most difficult in the NBA. If not the most difficult, it's one of them. But they have at Pelicans, which is very winnable. The Pelicans just aren't very good this year. Then you have Timberwolves at home, Pelicans again at home, and then the Kings at home. They really should win all 4 of those. If they were going to lose one, it'd be the first game in New Orleans because they just had a huge emotional win against the Lakers, and then they got to fly all the way to New Orleans.
Yeah.
Going to have tired legs on the road.
It's on Tuesday, though, so they'll have, well, first of all, this evening, since it was an early game, and then Monday.
It might help. And
So,
and
yeah.
they're feeling real motivated right now, so they might have to grind one out there, but they could very easily win the next 4, and then they have the Pistons on the road.
Yeah.
So their record should look really good before they have 3 straight or 5 straight games of really tough teams. And they have the Bucks, Celtics, Sixers, and Raptors, or Heat also before the Bucks.
So since we're talking about their upcoming schedule, another thing I wanted to get into was your article on the top 5 games of the month for December. Just like the most important games or the games to watch that should be exciting or interesting. So you listed 5 in this article. It's on DallasHoopsCast.com if you want to go in and read the full article. This Lakers game was actually on this list. You projected the Mavs to lose. I just want to point that out. Lack of faith. But I wanted to pick out each one of ours, like our most important game of the month. And then, like I said, you can read the full article on DallasHoopsCast.com. So mine from this list, it would be Mavericks at Bucks. That's on December 16th. And the reason why I pick it is because Giannis is not necessarily leading the MVP race, but he's up there depending on the day. And
Depending on who you ask.
yeah. And Luka is also up there too, depending on the day or depending on who you ask. And so I kind of just want to see, I don't think it'll be a matchup defensively. I don't think they're going to guard each other, but just, for the game, I want to see what Giannis does. I know that Luka probably sees that as a big opportunity too. So I think it'll be an exciting game. I don't think it's any sort of foregleam in terms of like obviously playoff matchups or anything like that. But just for that battle, I think it'll be a fun game.
Well, it's the future of the NBA.
Yeah.
It's Luka versus Giannis, the 2 guys that are projected to be the face of the NBA.
Yeah.
Or faces of the NBA for the next 10, 15 years. So I don't know. I think Milwaukee is such a good team. They've had one of the most difficult schedules to start the season, and they still have, let me see what their record is right now, 17-3.
Yeah.
They've won 11 in a row.
They're number 1. Yeah, they're number 1 in net rating. Mm-hmm.
And they've had one of the toughest schedules.
They're 4th in defensive rating, and they're 3rd in offensive rating.
Yes.
I mean, that's insane.
So they, to me, are probably the front runners to win it all. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
I don't see how, unless to me, it's going to be Boston Clippers finals.
Yeah, yeah.
Both teams have really good
Although
defenses.
The Raptors are good. This obviously, I
Yeah.
mean, unless the Jazz came back from being
No,
down
no,
40,
no,
but
no.
the Raptors are actually very good this year.
They are, but they just don't have that guy. And I, with all due respect to Pascal Siakam, he hasn't done that yet.
True.
And until he does it, he's going to be doubted.
True.
And I'm going to go with Giannis in that matchup, especially
Yeah.
since Kawhi is gone.
Yeah. So I think it'll be a fun game. You have them projected to lose. It's on the road.
Yes.
It's in Milwaukee, so it will be a tough game.
I think you'll see a lot of
Yeah.
the same style defense that the Lakers did, that the
Probably,
Clippers
yeah.
did. And it just depends on how the Mavericks adjust to it. But, I mean, you're asking them to go into Milwaukee against a team that's 17-3, that has one of the best offenses and best defenses, top 5 in both.
Yeah.
And to win that game.
And I mean, like we said, the Mavs have some big wins, like the
Yes.
Rockets, Nuggets,
Yes.
Raptors, Lakers, but they've also lost to some
Yeah.
really good teams.
And-
So you're not really sure yet.
And that would undoubtedly go as the best win of the season if they won it. That's how
Probably, yeah.
difficult it would be to go into Milwaukee and win. But you are looking at the faces of the NBA
Yeah.
with that one.
Okay, so that's mine. What's your
I'm going to
most
pick
important?
Boston because I don't like Boston. I don't like the fact that they beat us in Boston. I do not like Jason Tatum. If you've listened to this podcast, that people are going to say, he's averaging 21 points a game. Give the man some respect. You're averaging 21 points a game. Your shooting percentages isn't very high. You, advanced stat-wise, are not very good. You're actually a negative
Yeah.
on offense.
He's shooting below 41% for the season.
Yeah.
That's actually not good at all.
No,
but
it's
yeah.
not. So, in fact, I believe Jaylen Brown has been better than Jason Tatum. Jaylen Brown has
Tatum.
actually surprised me. Now, my ceiling for him was a lot lower,
True.
and he's certainly exceeding that. He's averaging 19 points a game, but he's doing it more efficiently. He's a much better defender. I like his game a little bit more. Jason Tatum, I think, is overrated.
So do you think the Celtics are not as good as their
Record? No, I don't. I don't think they're as good as their record. I think they are going to feast off the East.
They're currently 13-5. They just lost to Brooklyn. So.
They won tonight, though, I think, to the Knicks. So they're
That's
14-5.
not- yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. But they're going to feast on the East. So they're going to win 55 games or 56 games or something stupid. But I don't think they're as good as that record. I think when they face some of the other powerhouse teams, they're not going to be able to deliver as much. Jason Tatum is not that good, in my opinion. I just don't like them.
It sounds personal.
Yes, it is. Yeah. And I love the fact that Jason Tatum went, 0 for 18 or something. I think he got
I
a
don't
little
remember, yeah.
intimidated by Luka. Because people were saying
That is true, yeah.
People were saying that Tatum was going to be the face of the NBA.
Well, Luka put that to rest.
Oh, yes, quickly.
this
Last
season.
year.
Yeah.
Last year he put it to rest.
Even more so this year.
And I think Tatum got a little intimidated. Luka came there, put up 30-something points, and,
yeah, Tatum, I think he was 0 for 18 at some point. And
he struggled.
Yeah, he got like 2 shots.
Yeah.
Their losses have come to the Nuggets, the Clippers, the Kings, and the Sixers. Mm-hmm. And their wins are not good teams. The only
The
good
Knicks
team,
twice.
Yeah, the only really good team they've beat were the Mavericks, the Raptors,
All at home.
and that's really it.
Yeah, and both of those were at home.
Yeah. So, and and all their other wins are against like mediocre to sucky teams.
But in all honesty, it's personal for me.
It's personal.
It's personal.
Yeah.
If you ask a Celtic fan, they're going to win the championship.
Yeah.
But you ask me, I think they're going out in the first round. In fact, they ain't even making the playoffs.
Okay. So your prediction
Boston.
in the article is that the Mavericks will win big.
I think it's going to be a blowout.
Is that again just personal?
No, I think the Mavericks offense at home against mediocre teams.
Yeah, it is a home game.
Boston may come in as a good team, but at home, Dallas offense, it overwhelms you.
Yeah.
And they'll score 130 points or something like that and probably blow them out. Now, that's just a dream and a prediction. They could very easily lose it, but I'm going to predict the Mavs win.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but I could see them winning. I mean, especially since when they lost to the Celtics, that was pre-turning point Raptors game.
Mm-hmm.
So At that point, they were pretty inconsistent.
Well, we still
didn't
had
show up in big moments.
And that was the game where Luka sat, because the very next night they played the Knicks, or the next game they played the Knicks. But that was the game that Luka sat for like the 7 minutes of the fourth quarter. He came in at the 5-minute mark or something like that, and he had 2 points, and he looked all discombobulated. He wasn't in the flow of the game and all that, and everybody was just so frustrated on the Twitters and in the potties that Carlisle's minutes and rotation and stuff were starting to get frustrating.
Yeah, so the Mavericks, I think, are a different team, and I think they can beat them. I don't think it'll be a blowout, but I think it could be a win. So those are our 2 most important games of the month, aside from this Lakers game, which was also on this list. You can see the full list. Again, it's at DallasHoopsCast.com. Let us know what you think are the biggest games of the month. You can send us a message on Twitter at DallasHoopsCast. I'm at _Sydney Myers. Martin is at Martin L. Myers. I didn't do the intro with all of the stuff.
It was nice.
Yeah, anyways.
Kind of just flowed right into the podcast.
Yeah, well, I didn't have my notes in front of me, so I forgot what I usually say. But anyways, those are our thoughts on the game. Definitely a big win. Like I said, send us a message on Twitter. Let us know what you think of the game, of the zone defense, of Dwight Powell. Unless you think he's good, just don't say anything. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's it.
Oh,
anything else?
Nope.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for listening. Remember to leave us a rating or a review if you're listening on Apple Podcasts.
In the beginning.
Thanks for
where
listening.
You didn't do anything, and then just kind of do that.
Thank you for listening.
Just do like in the movies. They just hang up without saying goodbye.
They never say bye They never say goodbye before hanging up the phone.
Hang
up. You can follow us on the show on Twitter.
Fail.
Listen to new episodes and read exclusive articles at DallasHoopsCast.com. I'm at Sydney _Sydney Myers. That's at Martin L. Myers. You can follow the show on Twitter at DallasHoopsCast.
I'm walking away.
Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.